Tuesday, and we are just a couple days away from Christmas Eve service, 6 p.m. at Orchard Avenue Baptist Church. We want to encourage you to join us or tune in watching it live through Facebook or our internet website. Today is December the 22nd reading in our Advent book, and we trust that you have been blessed by following through with not just the verse that Pastor Mark and I have talked about, but also the book itself and the stories that come with it. And the verse today is 1 John chapter 4. And we even yesterday in church or Sunday talked about that. And we know that John, the beloved disciple, heard that term beloved over and over and over again, I'm sure from Jesus. And then he uses that favorite phrase to describe you and I, the children of God who are loved by him. And I was reading the passage today, 1 John 4, verse 19. We love because he first loved us. You know, love has to start somewhere. We hear stories of people. I saw her across the park and I was in love at first sight. You know, it began somewhere. She didn't even know who you were yet, and love was started. I saw on Facebook this week a young man who is a worship leader back east, and he was a pretty wild and crazy teenager, if you will, not in a bad sense, but just energetic and prankster and fun-loving and big-hearted. And Terry and I had the privilege of working with him as a teenager in the youth group while we were serving in Alaska. And I saw this week on Facebook that he and his wife and their children adopted a child from overseas. And I thought, what an incredible act of love, because they first loved without really even knowing. And now this young boy is in their family and he is loving them back. And you begin to think about Galatians chapter 4. And I want to read verses 4 through 7 this morning, Galatians 4 through 7. Because you and I were loved by God and he adopted us into his family. Verse 4, but when the fullness of time had come, God sent forth his Son, born of a woman, born under the law, to redeem those who were under the law, so that we might have adoption as sons. And because you are now a son, God has sent the Spirit of his Son into our hearts, and we cry, Abba, Father. That's literally Daddy, Father. So you are no longer a slave, but a son, and if a son, then you are an heir of God. Wow. Listen to the love story in that. Because God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son. John 3:16. Love started with God because he first loved us. We now love him. And can you imagine the Christmas morning experience of that young boy back in Delaware, his first Christmas with a family in the United States, being loved and surrounded by love? That is exactly what God has done for us. And so I want to encourage you today. You're just not somebody. You are somebody in Christ. Have a great Tuesday.